if you go to leadhongkong.com, this is my home page. Now, if you go to business research here, under management, you'll find a lot of work on the systems thinking and software engineering. And someone asked me, can I take this and apply it to my work? And that was a valid question, because wouldn't it be nice if you had something like this at work that gave you a bit more feedback, or you can do scenario analysis? Yes, there is software. High performance systems that develop this software, they actually develop the real software that is customised to workplaces, and organisations that have the time to do this, and it's probably more in the US that this type of thing happens. Where are these organisations? They're Ventara Systems, PowerSim Software, and probably these two are most popular systems tools. And if I just click on PowerSim Software, you can just see that. So this is just some more information for you to take away if you want to know, okay, where do we go from this game? Well, there's two ways you go from this game. One is if you want to learn more about the systems that apply to your organisation, or the software side, or the actual, the systems theory, and how can it help you understand the balanced scorecard more, which I'll talk more about in the rest of the manual in the last half hour of this course.
There's an additional dimension to this for people that work in manufacturing industries, logistics flows. Sorry, there's an additional dimension to this for people that might be working in manufacturing industries, because there you've got the whole logistics process of raw materials production and distribution, which you don't necessarily have in a financial services or a software industry. So production there is very minimal. But if you're trying to make mobile phones, for instance, that adds a lot more complexity to the simulation and your business planning processes.
Thank you. Thanks, Sebastian. So let me just stop with, you can explore this on the web. I just wanted to make you aware and not tell you I'm not a salesman for this organisation or anything like that. But if you want to go one step further on the software side, then PowerSim, and you can see that's that shower. That's that shower example I gave you right at the start, okay? Where you change the hot water, that's basic systems. And there's much more on the web that you can find out more about that. Okay, now let's take us back to, can I take you back to page 16. Yes.
Okay. Doing network switches?
Telephones. Public phones.
Public phones. I think I know the company.
Yeah, it's publicly listed, so you probably know that. Do you know the name of it? Actually, Roton Limited. Roton. They did an IPO, $500 million IPO in Shanghai Stock Exchange 2 years ago, and so the vice president of this company I know through my doctoral studies at University of Memphis from 1995. He's Chinese, and after he finished his PhD, he taught in the US just for about 1 or 2 years. Then he came back because his family was in China. So we just kept in touch. And so he's the financial vice president, second in charge of this company. And so I said to him 4 years ago, won't we just do a very long-term project on your incentive system. And so we've been working on that ever since. I'm just going to give you a short snapshot, but what's happened is that incentive system that they have for their sales offices, there's over 30 branch offices they have distributed throughout China, has been changed 5 or 6 times over the last 5 or 6 years. They're experimenting it with this incentive system every year. It's just changing every year.
I'm surprised that they're taking so much time to change. Most incentive systems I've worked with, people want to change every 3 months.
Yes.
They're horrendously complex.
Yeah. Oh, this one in Chinese, it's 7 pages of Chinese. It's huge. But they have to make everything so specific because the salespeople, they're very, very good at game playing. So once they know the rules, they just play by the rules. Okay, and all right, let's get right into what the situation happened is. All right, 2 factors that are critical to CTI's profit growth strategy, and that was reliance on sales of higher margin products. That happened about 1999, 2000, and cash collection. Or the main customer of CTI was the government, and so the biggest problem that CTI's had was they'll say they'll pay, and then they don't pay, and then 6 months later, we'll pay, but then they don't pay, and then 12 months later, it's a bad debt, and they can't get anything. But what tended to happen was around 6, 9 months or 10 months, they say, oh, how about you knock 20% off? Well, come on, you can do that. Well, CTI's not in a bargaining position to do that. They just have to take the 80% of the debt. And that's the game that's played with the customer. So, how to motivate the salespeople to sell to more quality customers was one of the priorities, and how to focus their salespeople's effort on new products. And some of you, from what you told me, deal with those issues in your own workplace. We've always got new products on hand, but it's always easier to sell the old product, not always easier to sell a new product because it hasn't been tested in the market. And the products we're talking about here are the public payphones. So, like in Hong Kong, we don't see many of them, but in China, there's over 1 million public payphones. 1 million. Okay, so the market is quite large, and they have to be replaced and updated and things like that. And so the latest product was one where you put a credit card in rather than coins. And so associated with that product was other products. When they sold the products, they'd sold 10, 15 or 20 products, but the system came with it that gave China Telecom, China Unicom, who are the main customers, feedback as to, okay, who was using, which payphones were getting the most use and least use. Okay, so the system is...
Does this also include phones that you see a person selling cigarettes has a phone, a little cigarette store, and she has a red phone and you pay for the use of that phone?
Yes.
The standalone phone in the booth?
Yes, but I think that was in the very early stages in 1998, going back there. But then they moved to this credit card and they stopped selling that other one, yes. So it's not your mobile phone, and so it's quite complex because the main customer was China Telecom and China Unicom. Now the first incentive system, I've actually put the incentive system in terms of a strategy map, and you can see on page 18. See, this game was about strategy map. The strategy map is a simplified description of a system, starting at learning and growth, internal processes to learning, growth, internal processes to customer, and then financial ultimately. Okay, so right at the top, the incentive system, the head office wanted to evaluate the salespeople subjectively in terms of their branch office customer maintenance, teamwork and culture, and to develop their skills and competency, and so how proactive they were. And so at the end of each year, they were given points. They were given points for how proactive they were. So how we going there? We're there. Yes. Now, why was it important See, in some ways, when I introduce you to you, right at the bottom are subjective indicators. They are not objective. See, this is when the VP from head office comes to the branch office in Guangzhou, and this happens, and Johnny's done it. This is the financial vice president, Johnny Deng. When he'll go to the branch office and try and have a look at how the customer maintenance is going on, or suggestions, team proactiveness, he would also go and talk to the customers, and he would ask the customer, well, so how are things going? And how's the sales manager looking after you? And if there are two scenarios, one where the customer says, oh, okay. And so, you know, out of red, yellow and green, what that meant. What was that? Red, yellow, green? That was red. That was a red response from the customer. But then other branch officers would go to and talk to the customer, and the customer said, oh, this salesman, fantastic. And he would talk about sales manager as if the manager was his friend and not just a salesman. And so then that was a green response. And so that's exactly how they gauged this part here, how the sales manager is looking after the customer, which part of customer satisfaction, but more importantly, it was down here, how the sales manager worked with the customer and the suggestions, teamwork, proactiveness. Okay? Because ultimately, customer satisfaction and major incident complaint, see, if the customer is really satisfied with your product, sometimes there's an incident, but they'll give feedback but won't make it into an incident. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference between making a complaint and giving feedback. And if you can manage the relationship, then a complaint can turn into feedback. You still have to deal with it, but at least it's a positive thing rather than a negative thing. And so the incentive system has objective measures of major incident complaints and customer satisfaction. That is in the incentive system. Like, this is 8 pages I'm trying to put onto one page for you, so just give me a chance here. And then finally, the cash collection. That was the key thing that really is contextual for China. That is something that they've had to manage every year. It's something they can't just relax on in any one year. And you'll find that it was very easy for Johnny's company to focus on. It's easy to focus on the product sales, cash collection, branch office costs, customer satisfaction, major incident complaints. They're all objective in many ways. But in many ways they were too late. And so they actually, in the incentive system past 1998, they started putting more emphasis on routine maintenance, solving difficult problems, and the effort that salespeople put into looking after the customer maintenance, suggestions and proactiveness. In the incentive system that was changed, in 2001 they actually put more emphasis on these items down here. Now let me just show you what it looks like in another way. Some of you may see it as, that was in the balanced scorecard view under the strategy map. From a business modelling point of view, you can see that non-financial performance indicators were these here, whereas the financial were here. Even management of branch office costs, it's financial. Okay. That was important. But it's the non-financial which were really critical to managing the customer, which led into the financial. Now there are a number of things that happened over time with Johnny's company. But before I explain that, here's the actual formula of the incentive system. So we just want to show you, we had a simulation exercise. So, okay, now here's the real incentive formula that is used in their company. They have a direct sales formula of products at 50 cents per unit, old unit sold, and $1 per new unit sold. So they're emphasising the new product twice as much as the old product. Now, this formula was to determine the bonus. And this bonus was given to the branch office